I know you're here to see Irish dancing, and you will, but first I need to introduce myself. I'm the person behind the camera. You were never meant to meet me, but this story has changed in ways I never expected. In 2022, I started filming 2 schools, training for the CLRG Irish Dancing World Championships.
Turn your feet out! You're not out! That's what I want! Do it again!
Lift your eyes and show me what you're made of.
There are winners and there are losers, and I actually like that aspect of it because that's real life.
Oh, no.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, my breakfast is coming up.
And then, everything changed.
All eyes will be on the judges at this year's All Scotland Championships.
Before we could get the series to air, allegations of widespread cheating swept the world of Irish dance.
Where did we ever think that the front pages of Irish newspapers would be going on Irish dancing cheating scandal?
It's been the most explosive period that we've ever had in Irish dancing.
This is now a global, fast-moving story.
At first, I didn't believe it. Then I felt foolish for not seeing it earlier. And then I set out to understand it.
Good.
It feels like the first domino. Nobody really wants to push it because then it could all come down.
Terrible fucking person.
For me, seeing that was like a realization. I'm like a pawn.
Will you be writing anything about the twisted world of Irish dance and all the sick involved in it?
Irish dancing has always had this squeaky clean image. Once I started to look into it more, I found that it was a bit darker, a bit grubbier, and a lot sadder than it had initially seemed.
You live in this like imaginary world that you don't realize is imaginary until later.
It's like a cult.
Go dig my grave, both wide and deep. Place a marble stone at my head and feet.
My name is Ellen Coyne and I'm a news correspondent at the Irish Independent. Before this scandal, I think you could have written everything I knew about Irish dancing on the back of a postage stamp, and as far as I can remember, I'd never written a word, never mind a story about Irish dancing before.
How did you end up covering this scandal?
Somebody had sent me an email from an anonymous account, and the subject line had something like fesh fixing and allegations of corruption within the world of Irish dancing. When I clicked into it, I saw that this stranger had sent me a folder. Obviously, you shouldn't download files from the internet from strangers, but curiosity won out over caution. And when I clicked into it, I could see that these were screenshots of text messages between Irish dancing judges where they were trying to fix dancing competitions for children as young as 7 before the competitions had happened.
She went upstairs.
Everybody who's grown up in Ireland knows exactly what a fesh is. They're these outwardly wholesome dancing competitions that normally happen in parish halls. So to see a fesh associated with the word fixing, with a cheating scandal, it's a bit of an anomaly, and initially I suppose it just seemed like a kind of strange, almost funny story because Irish dancing has always had this squeaky clean image.
But the scandal was also making headlines across the Atlantic.
I kind of found out, like the rest of the Irish dance community, I had seen an article, it was on RTE Liveline. It was kind of late in the workday, and I was like, oh, I'll follow up with that tomorrow. I actually have a message if you don't mind me reading it. Will you be writing anything about the twisted world of Irish dance and all the sick fucks involved in it? There was a text exchange that was very sexual in nature, basically asking for a hookup if his or her dancers did well. I doubt that the sexual kind of favors were as widespread as the regular favors, I guess you could say. I mean, it's just crazy to see it. Like, there are kids involved here, and like, you're basically using young competitors as pawns and seeking your own gratification. It just seems wild to me. I think there had always been rumblings that maybe stuff was going on in the background, but this was just hard to ignore. It was shocking.
Only one of the conversations from the cheating texts was sexual in nature, but it was enough to turn a global spotlight onto Irish dancing and the governing body in charge. With almost 100 years of history, there was a lot to protect.
CLRG is the biggest and oldest Irish dancing organisation in the world. So while there are other Irish dancing bodies that run their own competitions, CLRG have always framed themselves as the guardians of Irish dance. They don't receive state funding, but they are very culturally significant, and they're certainly an organisation that should have made themselves more accountable than they did. Everybody in Irish dancing knew that this was a major global scandal, except for CLRG. I have never, ever seen a response like it. CLRG didn't want to answer the phones. They wouldn't respond to emails. I showed up at their offices. They pulled down the blinds. There was no comprehension within CLRG of the necessity to be accountable, to have somebody to come out and at least say, we're really concerned about this, we're looking at this. It was a total ostrich mentality. They genuinely thought that it was just going to go away.
Our series was ready to broadcast, but we needed to understand what was going on and hear how CLRG were handling the situation. I got in touch with them, but all I got was a stock response given to all members of the media. But I had a very unique problem. I'd just spent months filming with one of the 12 teachers initially implicated in the text messages.
We are
Easy first question, so we're just getting everyone to kind of introduce themselves.
Yeah.
So tell me your name and tell me, who you are.
I'm Gavin Doherty, and my main hobby is teaching Irish dancing.
I love that you're calling it a hobby.
I'd seen firsthand how hard Gavin's dancers worked and how talented they were. Although he wasn't involved in any sexting, reading his messages, I couldn't understand why he would ever need to cheat for his dancers. After speaking to Gavin on the phone, it became clear the story was bigger than I thought.
The services of an independent former judge of the Court of Appeal have been engaged to oversee and supervise the immediate investigation into these matters.
Within 24 hours of the scandal breaking, Scotland's National Irish Dance Championships were due to begin.
All eyes will be on the judges at this year's All Scotland Championships, which are underway in Glasgow.
Right across Europe, you find that you have competitions taking place related to Irish dance. So it goes far beyond Irish borders, and I think everybody involved is very conscious of that this really is an international pursuit and has to be taken very seriously.
Now, it's yesterday week when the word fish fixing first appeared on Liveline, and we've now been contacted by Ronan McCormack. And if you remember Riverdance 1994, to the left of Michael as we look was Ronan McCormack. How long would you have been aware of that carry-on?
Over the years, as I say, I have been aware that not everybody who sits down to adjudicate a competition does so with integrity, and not everybody gives fair consideration to the dancers on the day.
Hi Gavin, it feels weird that we've been chatting these past few weeks and I haven't seen you in person, so I just want to chat through with you and just put the offer again of whether you'd like to do an interview. The BBC just would like to again get me to put that offer to you. Chat soon.
I've spoken to Gavin many times since the cheating scandal broke. He has declined to give an interview for this programme.
I have always thought from the first moment that we broke this story that if there is cheating in Irish dancing, it goes way beyond these 12 people. And I understand that some of those original dozen probably feel a sense of unfairness, that they have become the scapegoats for this, when the people involved in it probably runs into the hundreds rather than the dozens.
I got in touch with the other teachers I'd filmed with. Lisa and Karen Petrie are senior figures within Irish dancing and CLRG.
I'm the president of the Irish Dancing Teachers Association of North America and a representative to An Commission Limerick Gaelica. I'm also a CLRG representative from North America from the Mid-Atlantic region.
They wouldn't talk to me on the record after the scandal broke.
I'm excited to put on my coat.
Rosetta's school was not implicated in the leaked messages. Although we're still in touch, she has also declined to give an interview for this programme.
I think that's my last question. Good.
I also went back to all the families I'd filmed with at the World Championships in 2022, but none of them would go on camera to talk about cheating.
The culture of silence and secrecy in Irish dancing, it can't be understated. The very first day that I was working on the story, I was on the phone to somebody who compared Irish dancing to the mafia. And I remember thinking, it's a child's hobby. I mean, how bad could it be? I think not even 48 hours later, I understood completely. I have never worked on a story where so many people have not only refused to go on the record, but where the fear of going on the record has been so oppressive. The tips were coming in, I couldn't keep up with them. My email was going crazy. And I thought surely at some point we'll reach a critical mass where it'll make more sense to come forward than it will to keep silent. It is very much like the omerta that you would see in Italian mafiosos. It's extraordinary. Nobody wants to talk about this, and I think that there is a significant, maybe powerful proportion of people who are counting on this just going away.
Like everyone else, I was waiting to hear what the investigation into the leaked messages had uncovered. The number of cases had nearly quadrupled, and time was passing. But nobody I'd filmed was willing to speak on camera about cheating. So I needed to find people who would. Phone calls went unanswered, text messages and emails ignored. And then an American dancer, training in Dublin, agreed to talk to me.
We definitely have ants in here.
Not for long.
A world champion with 250,000 followers on TikTok, Owen had a lot to say about cheating, but he was reluctant to go on camera. I started hanging out with him and his sister Cassidy. I could sense their frustration about how the cheating scandal was being handled, growing with every meeting. And then, to my surprise, they agreed to be filmed.
If I just get you to clap, just to sync the two cameras, if you can.
To clap?
Yeah.
Explain to me almost the journey even that we've been on.
So when we originally started talking, I was maybe considering the possibility of doing this whole thing anonymously and not being identified. For me, it's really, I'm afraid that by speaking out, that I might be marked down at a future competition. That's my biggest fear. But really that fear is why this is important, because that isn't something that should ever happen. You shouldn't be afraid to speak out because somebody might mark you down for something that has nothing to do with the way you perform.
The cheating story is personal for them both. Your name is in those text messages. How did that feel?
Yeah. So when I initially read the texts, going through, scanning through the texts that were leaked, my name, as well as my siblings' names, appeared. Seeing your name actually mentioned, there is sort of a different level of betrayal is sort of, I guess, what I felt.
I knew stuff happened, but I never thought it was for me. And even if my teacher was involved, which he was, I would have been like, oh, he doesn't like me. He wouldn't have done that for me. He didn't care what I got. So for me, seeing that was a realization of oh, I'm like a pawn. That result wasn't for me, like it was for him. The result that I was mentioned in there, I didn't actually do well in, but I'm sure he pulled at times when I did, and having that doubt is hard because you want to believe that like you're capable of that and that like you achieved that result, and having that like voice in the back of your head that's like maybe you had help is not a great feeling.
Terrible. Bumping reverse next. Go back to your L.
From the time I was 7 until I was 18, I competed for the Brosler School of Irish Dancing. The texts that were leaked were allegedly from the phone of Kevin Brosler. So my ex-dancing teacher was asking for favors on my behalf. Maybe didn't trust me to be able to perform the way that I know that I can perform, which was definitely like very hurtful. And yeah, just a little bit unsettling to know that that had happened.
I could see how hurt Owen and Cassidy were, and it made me think of all the other dancers mentioned in the text messages and how they likely felt the same way. The dancers were clearly the victims in this story, but I knew I needed a teacher's perspective.
It's a great area, very Irish American area. So really funny. There's a dance school, an Irish dancing school, that uses that church as a studio. They're very nice. And then about 5 minutes around the corner there is another Irish dancing school, which is really funny because it's just this random little area in New Jersey, but like you can't escape it. All right, you guys, right out. I'm gonna put the AC on for you a little bit.
When Colleen and I first started talking, she'd been adamant she couldn't do an interview. But after many phone calls, she decided that one way to help Irish dancing might be to speak out about the problems it faced.
Woo, what did I say?
Thank you.
You're welcome. And can you just tell Miss Jill that you guys don't normally get donuts in the morning, so everyone doesn't think that...
We don't normally get donuts in the morning.
Kevin, have you ever done Irish dancing?
When I was younger, I would like learn the basics and I'd just go there. But then I quit when I was 6 because I realized it wasn't my thing.
Do you have to spend a lot of time at Mommy's dance studio?
Yeah.
Don't get too messy, please.
Turn around. Thank you so much, Mr. Gavin.
Turn around. Turn back around, sweetie. What do you want to say? I love my what?
I love my dress.
And blow him a big kiss.
Give me a big clap right in front of your face.
There's an Irish dance where you do that.
When did you start dancing? How did you get into it?
Yeah, I started dancing when I was 5. I qualified for my first Worlds when I was a freshman in high school, so about 15 years old, and I was awful. But I watched every competition I could, and from that moment on, it wasn't even just dancing for me, it was watching and appreciating other dancers and learning so much from what they were doing. I kind of knew there was more for me in Irish dance than just being a dancer.
Glide and 1, 2, 3, 4, double up, down and spin around.
This year will be coming up on me having my TCRG, which is my official teacher certification for Irish dancing, for 15 years.
Can you remember when you first saw the leaked text messages?
Part of me was like, oh, well, now the cat's out of the bag. The names that have been brought allegedly in the messages, these are some of the best teachers. Hands down, the dancers named are incredible. And the fact that allegedly these teachers felt like they had to contact someone just so their dancer wouldn't get lost in the shuffle, something's really wrong. I think if you ask anyone who was involved in the texting scandal, about their actions. I think they'd have just so much regret. But at the time, it was just so normalized that that's just what you did. It's only in the last few months it's even been called cheating in Irish dancing. But I don't know, I watched a show. It was about a scandal about getting people into college, and they went to jail. Now, I'm not saying that people should be brought to jail. I'm not saying that. But this is really serious. If you're fixing the result of a competition, it's not a competition anymore.
Somebody said to me, off the record, of, I don't like the cheating, but I tell myself that it's teaching my kids.
Okay, so you're basically accepting the fact that your child's getting screwed over and you're okay with that. It is good to face adversity. It's good not to win all the time. It's great to know that you can overcome disappointment. Those are good things. But when it's an institutionalized system where it is part and parcel of what you've signed up for, and you know that there's gonna be a lot of cheating and you're okay with that, come on.
After meeting Colleen, Owen and Cassidy, it hit me that I was in this strange situation. There was the world I'd filmed in the year before, and now. It felt like I'd gone through the looking glass. Things looked familiar, but everything had been turned upside down. There was so much I didn't fully understand. If people had always suspected cheating was happening, what stopped them from walking away? Owen and Cassidy both left the Kevin Brosler School in 2018. After relocating to Ireland, they now train with the Niall Hawley Academy.
It's been a crazy roller coaster few months, and you think you're kind of getting to the end of one thing and then something else happens, and it's been possibly the most explosive period that we've ever had in Irish dancing.
Niall is a former professional dancer who toured the world with Michael Flatley.
I started Irish dancing when I was 3. I took to it like a duck to water, and I was hooked. At the age of 16, then I turned pro, and I joined Lord of the Dance. I also did Michael's shows, Celtic Tiger, Feet of Flames. It was an amazing career. That went on for the guts of 15 years. And I decided then to turn my attention to teaching and choreographing and adjudicating.
When I filmed at the World Championships the year before, I hadn't interrogated how competitions are judged and who was judging. One of the most important things that I now understand is that most judges are also actively teaching, so everyone has skin in the game.
I've been judging for 10 years now. When I sit down in that chair, I take it very seriously. I want to be as good a judge as I can as possible. I want to try and give everyone a fair shot as possible. When you're sat there, it can be an incredibly daunting task. It's really difficult to judge 3 dancers at any one time, I'm not going to lie. You really have to have your wits about you, For me, I have to sit there and I'm trying to take a blanket view of the stage, and I'm trying not to miss the 3 dancers at the one time, but you can only hone in for a certain amount of time on each dancer. There is a set of criteria that you are judging the dancer off. I mean, we have timing, rhythm, turnout, crossover, deportment, carriage, elevation, style, execution. They're all in the back of your mind anyway, so you have the split decision that you have to satisfy all those boxes. But you also have to understand that at the level of the World Championships, everyone is excellent. So subjectivity has to come into it. There isn't a box for that.
Why do you think we are with cheating?
I think, there's always that fear that a dancer's going to be missed, or that somebody's not going to, get full credit for their ability on stage. So I guess as humans, we want to control this as best we can, and maybe that's why we're brought to this stage, that we have this culture that people they want to give a wink or a nod, or say, please don't miss my dancer. That's a personal, ethical decision that they have to make themselves.
Like most dancers, Owen and Cassidy didn't quit in the wake of the scandal, and days later competed at the All Scotlands. I started filming with them 4 months later. They were packing for the All Ireland Championships.
Mom, should I just pack my costume in here? I think it'll fit.
I would pack it, but I wouldn't fold it over. Open it up, open the jacket up.
Is this a new jacket?
It's new-ish. I got it for the All Scotland's last year. It gives a lot of presence to the overall kind of presentation of everything on stage, which I like a lot. The last time I competed at the All Irelands, I won. And I won with a perfect score, which was very exciting.
Well, do you think it feels different going in this year to the competition because of like the cheating?
Just because it's public knowledge doesn't mean that cheating will have ceased. Because I think it's true with anything. People don't change overnight. And like, I think a lot of the people that have been, you know, called out for doing bad things haven't necessarily changed their ways. You know, I don't think they do a 180. The only thing I can do is dance 3 strong, solid rounds. And if I do that, my job is done. And like beyond that point, it's, you know, it's out of my control. And that's kind of how I'm going into it.
That's always been your mindset.
That's always been my mindset,
regardless
of.
Because the cheating has always been there.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess I do kind of push it out of my mind a little bit in terms of like actually thinking about that occurring, you know?
I mean, some people quit over it. Like, it's not the easiest thing to like wrap your head
Reconcile.
around.
Plus, it's only some of the teachers that have been caught.
You obviously have mixed feelings about this then of, you know, how do you...
Yeah, well, I mean, I love to watch him dance, and he dances because he loves it. So, of course, I'm going to support that. And he's with a school that, you know, has never participated in any of that. So, at least we have that assurance.
Unlike Owen, Cassidy has decided not to compete at the All Ireland Championships.
I was getting ready to go on.
I think there's been no like tangible repercussions.
Or accountability of any sort,
Yeah, so it doesn't give me a lot of confidence that things have changed.
Right.
I mean, I feel like they've like put certain measures in place, but I feel like it's more like performative to be like, oh, we're doing something, than actually like making legitimate, like real changes to the system.
For sure.
Although Owen and his family had decided to film with me, we were all still nervous not to publicise it. So I didn't travel with them to the All Irelands and watched his competition from home.
Welcome on stage our All Ireland champions. We have Owen Lubers and Niall Holly.
Seeing him come joint first, I could only think about his fear of speaking out and the risk he might be taking by filming with me. What he had described was so different to the world I'd experienced a year ago, but other people were echoing what he was saying.
I grew up as an Irish dancer. I started when I was about 3 years old. My friends used to call me One Away O'Shea because if there were 12 places, I got 13th. Like, it was pretty much, that's how it was. When I started Irish dancing as a kid, it was just Irish dancing. It was dance class. Now, if you're competing, it's competition with a side of culture. It had gone from being so small, such a small community, to such a huge community very quickly. There were all these kind of like pre-existing relationships. And how do you remove those when you're going into judge competitions? I don't know. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. But I feel like there were always kind of like, there was like an understanding that certain people were gonna help other people out. There are cliques, and there's the in crowd and the out crowd, and I've heard of people refer to competitive Irish dance as mafia. You know, there's people at the top and there's people at the bottom. I don't know if that was personally my experience, but I could understand how some people view it that way.
Irish dancers keep their hands to their sides. We don't know exactly why this is,
Personally, I think it's because people sometimes think Irish people could be a little crazy. That's not true. We want to show how tough and perfect we are by keeping our arms to our sides, nice and rigid at the top, and let our feet go crazy.
Why did you not want to become an adjudicator?
I knew that the second I passed my ADCRG, I knew I would be sucked in and there would be such a little way out for me. And I don't mean sucked in where like, oh, you're asking for 100? Sure, no problem, you got the 100. I just don't see a way that I could align my morals and what I knew is right, and also like not screw over my dancers, because I don't think I'd be very, or I hope I wouldn't be very receptive to requests for favors. But when you're not, when maybe you judge fairly and honestly, that might make someone really upset. And that person may adjudicate all the time. And that person may absolutely screw over your school at a competition. Absolutely. Go out of their way to find out who each and every one of your dancers is. And I'm not saying that that happens on a widespread basis, but it's a real fear that people have. And I was just happy enough not to be involved in that. It's adults using children as pawns in a grown-up game. And that's sick. And that's sick. And more people need to start saying that and acknowledging that. And if you've been part of it, as I have definitely been, I was not soliciting favors. I was not asking people to do things for my dancers, but everyone is complicit. Everyone who's been part of that organization is complicit, because it is not just those limited text messages. It is sewn into the curtains of the fabric that is CLRG. And no dance organization is perfect. But it is so tied in with the competitive world of Irish dance and CLRG that's very hard to see sometimes, because it's just part of what it is. You are taught that no other organization is anywhere near us in terms of level of dance, level of teaching. You are spoon-fed that constantly. You wouldn't dare to think about leaving it. It's the only way. And I think a lot of people feel very trapped. But you can leave anytime you want. But are you really going to? It's like a cult.
I still hadn't been able to speak to anyone from CLRG. They'd hired a crisis management team, and I got in touch asking if someone from the organisation would give me an interview. The request was refused.
See how high that click can be.
I started them in Irish dancing because my sisters and I Irish danced. My grandparents are from Ireland and they paid for our dancing lessons. I had no idea they were going to be good. They loved it, especially the boys. They were so competitive. They thrived on it. I had no idea how much it had changed. They got to a level where it's such a commitment, like you can't be half in, you have to be all in. It becomes part of your identity, and it did become all-consuming. There were times when I said, "Are you sure you want to keep doing this? Let's be done with this. Let's just get out." And they couldn't. We knew the cheating went on. I mean, we absolutely knew it. From people overhearing conversations in a bar to, somebody sleeping on a teacher's couch and hearing them make the phone call on the phone, telling the numbers and what they want. Some parent or two had implied to me that our teacher cheated, and I just went, I don't think so. So that was being naive on my part, obviously. It was hard as a parent to know, where do we draw the line and say that's it? I think at the point where we had a very aware position of the Irish dancing world,
Owen was probably 18 or 17, close to that age where he would make his own decisions. So, you know, it was kind of too late at that point. The fear of saying anything is so overwhelming that most people don't speak at all.
The idea that people feel fearful of that feels cult-like in a sense, because there's something at the very heart of that feels damaging.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still in it, so I don't know what the damages are. It's a scary thing. Thing.
We will do jig steps, hornpipe steps to warm up. Then World's People, I wanted one full on your own, full performance, full face, as if you've panel adjudicators in front of you, okay? Okay, first two up.
When I tell people that I'm still competing, maybe they're a little bit like what? You know, there's a surprise that I'm still competing at the age that I am. But for me, it's a passion of mine. And I think I'm still improving. I'm still getting better, and I still have something to reach towards, if that makes sense. Even if it's not a title, if it's just for me, you know.
I don't know what it does to us. It grips us. Even sometimes when you think I'm going to step away or I'm going to, distance myself from it, you can't. It follows you. It's part of you. It consumes you. But sometimes I say it's nearly like it must be like this drug effect that it has on us. It has a grip in us, and we keep going back to it because we know we're getting something from this, and that has to, mean something to you. I love creating dancing. I love the competition world. I love seeing my dancers on stage. It's my world, so it's never crossed my mind to stop.
So we'll see you all tomorrow then, and then the world dancers can dance for us all. It'll be an easy class for the rest of you guys. So. Hello.
Having not danced at the All-Irelands, Cassidy has made a decision about the World Championships.
I feel like my priorities have shifted, and as much as I love Irish dancing and it's a huge part of my life, I'm getting married this year, so I've decided not to compete at Worlds.
So although there's no Worlds, you're still dancing?
Yeah, still dancing. It's the best way to keep in shape, and I really wanted to dance at my wedding. That's something I've always pictured for the day, so it'll be nice. A bunch of my friends from the dance class will be there to dance with me, and Owen as well.
Yeah, almost weird if you didn't in a way.
Yeah, no, it feels like such a big part of you that I don't know, on that day you want to be all of yourself, and so it would feel weird not to have dancing be a part of it. This past year, with everything that's come out, it just felt like I don't know if I can trust the system, and my life is more important than crossing your fingers and hoping that you get the right panel or that everything lines up for that day. My best placement was in 2018. I was third in the Worlds. That was a highlight of my life. That's something you work for your entire life, and there's no feeling like being on that podium in that moment. To have that in the back of your mind of did I deserve that result? Was that pulled for me? I'd like to believe I deserved them because I worked really hard for them, and I'm proud of all of my accomplishments. But I think that it does make me angry that that little voice in the back of your head will kind of always be there.
So we just want to overemphasize then getting the over crossover on the two drums. Hold, good. So try and pull the feet together a little bit more onto the hold. Okay. Up, bump, bump.
Also, maybe if I pull the back foot across after that.
I feel sorry for any dancer who's maybe questioning results or anything like that, because I know these dancers are incredibly talented. I know they work incredibly hard. I know when they go into the studio and when they step on stage, they're giving it their all. And none of that can be discarded just because of what's come out recently.
Pulse, much better. Oh my God, that's like night and day. Like that is so much better.
When I won the Worlds in 2017, I was competing for the Brosler School. Obviously, I wouldn't have thought anything at the time, but after having seen the text and seeing that my name was mentioned specifically, it does make me wonder. Obviously, I think it's natural to kind of go back and question, like, did I deserve this? Going into this Worlds, dancing for Niall, who is somebody I know, he has very, very high standard of morals, and I think maybe if I were to win the Worlds this year, I think it would be that much more satisfying, knowing that Niall and I have done this in a way that is pure.
Heels in, beautiful. Really, really good.
So when you first look at the infamous screenshots, they're all texts to and from the same phone. So it's the same person sending the messages every time, and that person is Kevin Brosler. I remember when I was first working on the story, looking at these text messages and going, why on earth would anybody collect these screenshots and hand them over? I've certainly heard some sources argue that their perception is that Kevin thought if he was going down, he wanted to bring other people with him.
In 2019, 3 lawsuits alleging wrongful conduct were filed in New Jersey. 10 days later, Kevin Brosler suspended himself from his own dance school.
The lawsuits that were filed, the defendants and the plaintiffs were all anonymized except for CLRG, the Mid-Atlantic region, the Teachers Association of North America. Those were all named. But right after the lawsuits came out, Kevin Brosler published an open letter on his website in which he neither confirmed nor denied that he's actually involved with these lawsuits. But he did just kind of reiterate that they were just allegations at the time and that his school would be closing down. Kevin Brosler kind of tenuously linked himself to the lawsuits, but not explicitly.
What happened with those lawsuits?
So it was actually interesting timing. Those were filed in December 2019, and then COVID happened a couple months later, which slowed down court proceedings and also kind of gave it time to fall out of the public's knowledge. People kind of forgot about it. I don't think CLRG ever kind of responded to how the proceedings finished, but the court records show that they were all settled.
I've looked into these cases, and although none of the plaintiffs feature in this series, 2 of them were minors.
My entire life was teaching Irish dancing. And then I started seeing things and hearing things that I knew weren't right. And I had to take a real close look at myself and my life and what I was doing. And I stepped away. And I left CLRG about 3 years ago. Sadly, we live in a day and age where it is not uncommon for allegations of sexual violence, assault. I remember we were in a dance teachers meeting and we were being informed that there was an active investigation into a person we all knew, even though the person wasn't named. And then we started going on with the meeting like nothing had happened. It's not normal that you go to a board meeting of a dance organization primarily geared towards kids dancing, and you're told this, and then you just keep going on. We got radio silence. Nothing from CLRG for weeks. Like, I can't be a part of this anymore. Like, you're not taking allegations of sexual assault super seriously, and sexual assault against some people who are minors. No, not doing it. I think it was really hard for me too to see like more people not outraged, and I tried really hard not to judge them on that. These aren't bad people. I think these are people who really thought they were doing the best for their fellow teachers, for the organization. I'm like, at what point though will you say enough is enough? When you are in a system that forces you to not call out small issues, it becomes really hard then to call out issues that are bigger. When you start accepting things you know morally are not right, or that go against your conscience or your own morals, and you start accepting that, what won't you accept?
I'd been filming Niall and Owen for a few months now, and despite their initial concerns, they'd agreed to let me come with them to the 2023 World Championships in Montreal.
So last class now before we hit Montreal. Good. Click. Good. Good. Much, much better.
I got in touch with CLRG to ask for permission to film the competition, as I had done the year before. This time I was refused access. They didn't give me a reason.
Oh my gosh, it's heavy. It's so heavy. Wow. I can't wait to see it actually on.
I'm excited. It feels really weird to not be packing.
I know, it is kind of weird.
I'm like debating whether I watch mine or not.
I think you should.
Makes you miss it more.
Yeah, no, of course. I definitely get that.
Do you have any regrets that you're not going?
No, I mean, I'm happy with my decision. I'm definitely gonna miss it like in the moment because there isn't anything like Dancing at Worlds. I'm gonna focus on the wedding and Craig being here soon and just try not to miss it too much while it's happening.
We left Cassidy in Dublin and made our way to Montreal.
Last US exit. I'm definitely getting a little bit like antsy. And I've seen a bunch of videos of people falling on stage, like the stage is just being a little bit slippery. I'd rather give my all and then fall because the floor was slippery than give, 90% and then stay on my feet, but not have danced, to the fullest of my potential. I think I'll be good.
I know, I'm having trouble seeing, so help me if you... What exit is
53.
It? Still ice on the trees.
Mm-hmm. It looks like Christmas. Look at the cars.
I know, they're covered in ice.
All the teachers and families I'd filmed the year before were in Montreal, and I spoke to most of them, but they still didn't want to talk to me on camera.
How are you feeling? How's the nerves?
Good.
Okay?
Yeah,
Excited?
Yeah. I'm really excited.
Good. Don't put new shoes on the table, please, as well.
Is it bad luck?
So that's okay, give me anxiety. Put them back in your bag.
Niall and Owen were in full competition mode.
There's no point in getting like yourself in a twist about panels or who's on this or who's not, because look, I mean, what's going to happen is going to happen. You can only get up and dance, so yeah.
For sure.
I'm actually really excited for tomorrow. I think it's going to be incredible. Yeah, so I'm the front today, so we'll take that as a back.
Although those involved in the 44 disciplinary cases were still suspended from judging, I was aware the problem could be more widespread.
That felt good.
Niall wasn't asking for favours, but that didn't mean others weren't. And I started to worry if Owen was really going to get a true shot at his pure win.
I'm always excited to be on stage because that's when I feel the most myself. I do get nervous, but it's learning how to channel it in the right way. And I think when you do, that's when something really special happens, sort of when you maybe go into a sort of like whiteout kind of zone where you don't remember anything on stage. And it's almost like a flow state, you know, and that's sort of any athlete's kind of goal is to be able to perform at that level. And that's sort of what I'm hoping for at the Worlds. My new shoes and my old shoes are hard to tell the difference between now.
No, you're not. Oh, those. I thought you meant the ones with holes in them.
No. Actually, these are my new ones because the laces are different. Niall said he's over at the venue already.
All right, yeah, we need to go.
How do you feel, Laurie? Do you get nervous at this point, or are you okay?
I'm okay, because I think the results are the worst, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I only have one dancer today, so that's a lot less stressful than usual. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. So we're good.
Have my bow tie, cummerbund, shirt, pants, jacket, and we're good.
All right, let's go.
See you over there.
See ya.
I wasn't going to miss Owen dancing, so I paid and entered the competition as a spectator. Without proper access, everything off the stage was captured on mobile phones by audience members.
I heard the shutter.
Should I pull my hair back? Okay, you didn't tell me if my hair was okay.
If you don't like it, I'll change.
This year does feel different. We're here by ourselves, just me and Owen, and that's never been before.
Oh,
Mom's
gonna take a picture of us. I'm chewing.
You're always chewing.
I know.
Plus, there's all the stuff that's going on that's not spoken about. Everything's just going on as normal. So we're all just trying to just do the best we can, you know, stay positive and hope for the best. I love watching them dance more than anything. Their ability to portray their love of dance, I mean, I feel it. Can bring me to tears just watching because I know what's gone into it and I know what's in their heart and I know what they're putting out there and I know the risks they've taken. It's just amazing.
The stage is like worse than I thought. I think I don't know. Like I went to do like the very first stretch, and like my foot almost like went out from underneath me, but I don't know.
Everyone was talking about the floors being slippery, but I knew that Owen was determined to give it his all, despite the fear of falling. When I saw him fall on stage, my heart was in my mouth. But he didn't seem too bothered by it.
How did that even happen? I literally, like, ate shit.
And thankfully, he got to dance this round again.
It's more of a showcase at this stage because it is like the last time you do this set of steps on stage. We've been working on this set of steps since just after the Worlds last year. So it's kind of like a year in the making. It's exciting to be able to show that off like on stage.
He literally left his heart on the stage there. I mean, he can't do any more. I thought it was something special. But look, it comes down to somebody's opinion and that's what it's going to be.
Thank you.
I think it was like the most solid and clean I've seen it, but like it was so exciting.
Okay.
Like every performance was really like showed off.
Yeah.
When you get up on stage, like you pour your heart and soul into your dancing. You're putting like your validation and your self-worth in a panel of judges' hands, which sometimes it's not an accurate reflection of what you did on stage.
The result of competition 1, senior men over 21. In reverse order, our top 10. In 10th place with 363 points, number 339.
It's absolutely agonizing. I can't describe like, it's worse than when you're dancing yourself because I mean, your dancer is like, you know, your responsibility and their result is your result.
Our top 5 dancers. In 5th place with 444 points, number 342. In 4th place with 548 points, number 317. In 3rd place with 590 points, number 311. In 2nd place and our runner-up with 712 points, number 333. And our winner with 765 points, number 326.
For as, you know, as many titles as you win or trophies that you win, like there's that equal and maybe more so like suffering that you also go through. It puts you through the ringer, like emotionally, mentally, like it just being a part of this world it's not easy in any sense.
We invite onto the stage our senior men's world champion 2023, number 326, Owen Lubers from the Niall Holly Academy.
You live in this like imaginary world that you don't realize is imaginary until later. An outsider would think we're absolutely crazy. Like, why are we still doing this? And we are crazy, I guess. We're all crazy. I don't want the sport to go away, and I do believe that it's got so many benefits. It's a good thing. It's a beautiful thing. But it needs to change to survive, and it needs to be healthier for everybody and trustworthy, and it's not right now.
It was 6 months since the messages had been leaked online, and there was still no conclusion to the disciplinary hearings. On my last night in Montreal, I approached the then chairperson of CLRG, James McCutcheon, and asked him if he would give me an interview. He told me he was just a figurehead and couldn't speak for the organisation.
We've all made sacrifices for this thing. Dancers and teachers and judges alike. We've all put a lot into Irish dancing. We've given up huge portions of our life for it. And I think it feels like something that could potentially kind of topple the whole thing. It maybe feels like the first domino, you know, and like nobody really wants to push it because then it could all come down. And I mean, I have that fear as well. This is something that I've been training for my entire life, and like, obviously I don't want it to go away. I don't want it to not exist. But I also think there are ways that we can make competitions more fair, and there are things that could be changed that could make things better. And I think that's like an okay thing to say. Like, I don't think people should be afraid of that.
I hoped that change was coming for Owen and all the other dancers. But then I was shown a document that made me wonder if it ever would. It proved that CLRG had been alerted to cheating more than a decade ago. I asked them what they did to investigate these allegations. They told me they have no oversight of this event. I pointed out that their own rulebooks show this is not true. I also got in touch with the organisers of the British National Championships to find out if CLRG had asked them to investigate the allegations. They didn't reply. We can find no evidence to suggest these allegations were ever looked into.
She went upstairs for to make her bed.
CLRG seem to think that we, and me personally, are out to get them. They don't seem to understand that the reason there's so much interest in this story is because Irish dancing is very important and it really matters to people, and people want this to be a reckoning and a moment of reform for Irish dancing, including a lot of people within Irish dance. I still think that CLRG don't get that, and I still think that they begrudge every question that comes their way, no matter how justified the question is.
That I loved so well, he courted me.
The cheating allegations weren't the only thing I was questioning. After hearing about cases of sexual misconduct in the Irish dancing community, I got in touch with the FBI and submitted a Freedom of Information request. They told me they have over 23,000 pages relating to my request.